Good afternoon and welcome back to the Sports Philanthropy Network here on Radio Los Angeles as we're joined with Cindy Coleman from Read2Play. Roy, would you introduce us to Cindy, please?
Thank you, Cindy. So nice to have you here. We're excited to have everybody learn more about Read2Play and the great work that you're doing. I know it's been a crazy era through COVID and everything that's going on, and so I know that's necessitated some changes in the way everything works. So tell us about Read2Play.
Well, first of all, Roy and Kayla, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. It's really exciting. Read2Play was created because I'm a teacher first, then turned entrepreneur and coach. And we noticed that when kids weren't reading by the time they were in middle school, there really wasn't anywhere for them to go. And so we thought that football would be a great vehicle. I believe sports and education are the great equalizers. So we thought that we could put together all of my teaching knowledge into a sports and education program. And the kids loved it. The coaches were really thrilled with the results, as were we. And I just noticed great changes with the kids. And that's what it's all about, right? Helping them get on the right path and find their passion and love of football and help find that in education for them as well.
So when you talk how you first conceived of this, what made you go in this direction?
Yeah, well,
You were muted. Go ahead. I unmuted you.
Thank you. I taught high school and I taught middle school. I created a middle school actually, and then taught 7th grade. And I noticed in some of the schools where I worked that kids were just socially passed and they didn't really have that strong foundation for literacy and reading. So we decided to use football as a vehicle to teach kids life. I always use John Wooden's Pyramid of Success in all of the classes I've ever taught, but we really took that philosophy with football and created the game strategy. So it's based on proven research and methodologies on how to teach kids how to read after 3rd grade, and we just created it for the classroom as well as the football field. So GAME stands for guessing, asking questions, anticipating, monitoring, and evaluating, right? So we do that with text when you're skimming through your books to see if you could pick up on headlines and subject lines. And then you also do that on the field, right? Before they hike the ball, before you're ready to run a play, you're assessing what's happening. So we decided to combine both and create this program, and we had amazing results. We're thrilled.
I know Kayla's had a lot of experience as a teacher, and I know she's got a lot to jump in on and talk about how you develop that program.
Yes, I think, the thing to me is as a parent first, right? So I know as a single mom, the issues that I deal with, like between getting the kids dinner, doing chores, kids coming home with a lot more homework these days than we ever had growing up, right? My first question is, how do you fit a program like Read2Play into an already stacked day for parents?
Yeah, we took one night of the week, which was Monday night, and we ran the academic program and the physical fitness program. So we had half of the kids do the academic component and half of the kids work out. Then we switched and had the kids that were working out do the academic program and vice versa. And what we noticed was that what we were teaching them actually helped them become much better students and time management, right? With kids, time management is critical. So we taught them how to use their time wisely. And one of the things I teach the kids is that use your time in school and don't waste your time. And then after school, it's a lot less pressure. And you can focus on the sports and then the homework and, of course, the chores.
Cindy, I think that's great. And necessary, first of all, right? Because I think kids are dealing with so much trauma. It's entirely different. I think there's been trauma since the beginning of time, but it's a completely different world. So I want to ask you about Read to Play specifically and how you're using that program. We know it's educational. We know that it's sports based. I know that you've done a lot of work to help kids who are dealing with some issues that may be traumatic experiences or whatever, but you've gone and made this a nationwide thing, Cindy, and you've had great success with it. Highlight your success, please.
I would love to. So we ran Read to Play with a 12U football team out of Las Vegas, and 12-year-old boys. Some were 13, and basically we structured this to be a hybrid model. So it's in person and the digital component. Think of fantasy football, but for academics. So we keep track of their grades. Keep track of how they did on the field. And then we rate them and give them points. And then each week we tally up the points. And then we did a Friday night online game night with the kids. And we're teaching sportsmanship, entrepreneurship, as well as these football skills. So students that didn't play football got to participate, whether it was teaching breath and movement during our physical training, or it was taking video of the football game and then edit it, and then we posted it, and we did pick a play every week, and the kids just love seeing themselves on the highlight reels. So we combined the digital media along with actual football and the academics to create this well-rounded hybrid program, and the kids loved it. So they're able to use their time wisely when they're not in the classroom, and we found them reading. We found them exchanging ideas. We would do these breakout sessions within the digital world, and they were collaborating, working together. Kids that never worked together before, the athletes and the media and the digital experience combined really made a robust program for these kids. It's very exciting.
Cindy, I think that's just amazing. And obviously, it takes a lot of money to do what you're doing, it takes a lot of support, it takes a lot of teamwork, buy in from the community, from the kids, from the schools that you're working with. What's next? What's the plan? Next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, how do you guys want to grow this thing?
Yeah, we can lead up to a Read Bowl at the end of the season. So what we'll do is we'll have different schools and teams compete against each other on the field and virtually, and then expand into all of the cities. We're looking to start in 2 cities this year, maybe 4 if we can make that happen.
So let me take just a second, and Roy, I'm going to kick this over to you in just a second. But before I do, I want to take a second, remind our listeners that we are so grateful to have Cindy Coleman here from Read to Play, and so proud of the great work she's doing. Before we do that, just want to remind everybody, we are here on Radio Row in Los Angeles, California for Super Bowl week, taking the time to highlight the great work that the NFL is doing in partnering with nonprofits and charities to promote the work that's being done in the community. Roy, I know there's a lot of Super Bowl events going on this week that the NFL is doing. We're privileged and blessed to be sitting here speaking with Cindy right now. What else is happening this week?
Well, there's a whole host of things going on, all kinds of foundations and athletes and causes running around the whole metro area of Los Angeles as is normal during Super Bowl week. The festivities gain some steam as they go through the entire week, and I know that we've talked to Cindy about creating an in-person event for next year, hopefully after we get through the COVID era and we can start putting in that planning for next year's Super Bowl in Phoenix. The year after is in Las Vegas. So the planning for Super Bowl events starts now. And Cindy, I know that there's a lot of momentum to what you're creating. So when you look ahead for the coming year, for 2022 and going into 2023, talk a little bit about what kind of expansion you see, and realistically, how many cities do you think you can get into in those 2 years?
Well, we're looking to expand. We started in Las Vegas, so we would love to continue our work in Las Vegas. And also, I'm a running rebel. I graduated from UNLV, so Las Vegas is near and dear to my heart, and my husband as well. His family were pioneers in Las Vegas, so we're really looking to capitalize on our positive forward momentum in Las Vegas, and then we would like to add cities like Los Angeles and hopefully Miami, and then maybe Chicago, maybe the Midwest as well. So, in order to expand, we need great partners, right? People with like minded visions, the understanding that sports and education are the great equalizers, and we are doing a wonderful service for the kids to provide this type of a program in addition to the sports. So academic component, it really allows the kids to continue learning beyond the four walls of the classroom and in a way that they love. So I think pulling the kids in using football as the vehicle, it really changes the dynamic of learning to read, right? And as far as expanding, we had wonderful corporate sponsors in Las Vegas, and that's what we're looking to do, make it a community effort. We know when the communities get behind our schools and our programs and our team sports, everybody wins, everybody thrives. So by getting that buy-in from the local communities and seeing the need that we're helping cultivating the business leaders of the future by doing this, then they seem to get really excited. And when the kids, they see the reels the kids made, it really pulls them in because you can see that they loved playing.
I think that love of playing is really something we talk about a lot for the the enjoyment of sport, right? I think it's one of the things that's become lost to a certain extent in the deluge of travel sports and elite training facilities and everything like that. And that's one of the things that we love in your concept, right? It's talking about play and how do we play and how do we make that work. And I think that um, I think that one of the things that happens is what can we continue to do to instill that love of play?
Yeah, that is so important because if you think about too how society has just changed dramatically since we were all in school, and think of what how everything is different and what the pressures are now for kids, and how do we keep them engaged and involved in using media but in a very positive, constructive way. So that's one of the things that we love to do, and it's that passion for sports. I always say, could you imagine if all of the kids in the US approached academics with the same love and passion they do for football or tennis or golf or baseball? That's the type of love for academics that we're really hoping to foster, because when kids are playing sports, they get that recognition right on the field, teamwork, camaraderie. There are so many beneficial um, results that happen from playing sports. So if we take that same mentality, even that teamwork, on making school spirit more important, or having them love their academic career as much as their athletic career, that's really the goal for Read2Play. They're student athletes. Student comes first.
So, Cindy, we talk about this concept of student athletes, right? It leads me right into my next question. COVID killed athletes. It killed team sports. We had kids literally trying to go to school from home. And I won't even bring up the digital divide that exists all across our country, right? As an educator, these things aren't lost on me. How has COVID affected the Read2Play program?
Great question. It also broke the spirit of a lot of people. You know, it was a very trying time, especially for middle schoolers, right? That social interaction, they're becoming adults. They're starting to really focus on building their identity. So we ran the program in 2018. And then 2019, we put our plan together to fundraise and that scalability, sustainability. How will all of this work? How can we build out our platform in order to allow 4 cities, 8 cities, 10 cities to join? And then COVID hit. So it really put a hold on the expansion, but we did not waste time. So what we did during this hiatus is we focused on making the program better. How do we bridge the digital divide? How do we get companies in these local areas to buy in and get on board? And we have now partnered with Ohana Solutions. They're an amazing education company out of Florida, and they actually have a pre-K 12 school, and they really understand how to get the right people together. They're great at building teams. So when we met them, we felt an immediate connection, just like with you. We all have the same goal, is to help kids learn, help them tap into their true potential. And COVID has really hurt the self-esteem, progress, and sports in general. So what we're looking to do, we actually even hired a doctor to be on our team so he can field calls and he can do one-on-one sessions with kids if they're struggling, even parents. Dr. Darren is an amazing human being, and he's now part of our team. So when kids are feeling this anxiety, this stress, they have somebody to go to now.
So that's unbelievable to me. Number one, I just want to say, as a single mom, kudos to you. One of the biggest struggles that I see, not only in my own home, and I'm very average, but kids are struggling. And right now they really need somebody to talk to. And it probably isn't going to be mom or dad, right?
True.
And if they don't have somebody good to speak to, they're going to be speaking with their friends and getting bad advice. So let's be responsible and give kids the resources that they need. Now, you look around at Radio Row, Cindy, and I know you've never been here, right? There's still a lot of open tables. We know it gets busier and busier as the week goes on. But you have so much work to do, and I want to just take 1 second to say thank you to the NFL for actually making Super Bowl host cities a priority when it comes to literacy, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to a national food shortage and crisis. For all of these things, I got to shout out the NFL. They really are doing a great job. Last year amazed me. This year I see even more. Cindy, I'm sort of mentioning this because we've been working together, Sports Philanthropy Network, Read2Play, for almost a year, maybe a year. I feel like right after the Super Bowl last year is when I started connecting with you. And I know COVID hurt so many of the NFL events. I know that in any other given year, we wouldn't even see this many tables. But we had this great idea where we wanted to do a big co-sponsored event with Sports Philanthropy Network and Read2Play. Then we were like, oh, it looks like COVID is going to be in the way. There was so much uncertainty about what the state of California would require. We wanted to do something virtually, and even that is nearly impossible with the circumstances that we're dealing with. Is COVID impacting your ability to get into the schools?
Yes, it is. People that we've been talking with who are thrilled about the program, who want to work with us, said we can't bother, and that was the word that was used, the schools right now to do anything else besides keep COVID out and get the kids back in and keep the teachers healthy, right? So that's the number one priority. What I'm thinking is going to happen is by the time this next variant is under control, and I'm hoping that with everybody being diligent and really doing their best, because we're all pretty much over it, right? We're all ready to move on with our lives. I really think that programs like Sports Philanthropy Network and Read2Play, they're going to be in such high demand when all of this hopefully is in our rear view mirror sooner rather than later. We just want to be ready so then we can help the kids right from the start. Get them involved, get them playing, and let them know that we're here for them and they have sports back, they have their schools back, and they have their health. And just to continue what you were saying, I would like to thank the NFL as well. We are thrilled to be here. The energy is so exciting. It's a thrill of a lifetime, and what an amazing event this is. It's hard to describe it if you're not here, but it really shows how much the NFL cares about kids, about education, and about doing good.
Yeah, and I think Cindy, you hit it right on the head. There's so much potential, there's so much energy, and one of the things that Kayla and I talk about often is how do we translate that energy from what goes on at these mega sporting events and really make a lasting impact, right? Because the game ends on Sunday, right? The game will be done early evening Pacific time, and then the world goes back to normal. And we want to make sure that with all of these different organizations and programs like Read2Play, that's not the end. That's the beginning. That's a chance for people to truly look at their communities, examine how can we make an impact? What is the best way for us to expand these programs? Because one of the things that we see as we identify which organizations to work with is we want groups that have the ability to grow and continue to make an impact, not just on a micro level, which is fantastic because you need to do that. But we also look for partnering with organizations that have that potential, as you said, to go into 32 NFL cities, to go out there and create a model that creates that competition, creates that love of learning, because it's a lifetime love that really needs to be there. Right? One of the things when you look at the data and all of the reports on how little people learn when they're done with college, right? How little they read, how little they continue to develop themselves as a person and build their knowledge base. And it's frightening, right? Frankly, that there's so little of that going on. And I remember as a kid, I had no interest in school. The only interest I had was I wanted to be done so I could go play ball, right? School is just an annoyance to like get you to 3:30 so you can go play ball for a few hours before dinner. And I wanted to run around and do that. And I know that there's a lot of kids that have that feeling, right? And using sports as a way to tie those things together, I think that a program like Read2Play, I think that some of the other things that are out there creates that connection and love. And that's something that was really missing in my education.
All right, hold up. I feel obligated to make a public service announcement to all of the kids who are watching this live stream or listening. Mr. Kessel did go to graduate school. He has a law degree. He practiced law for many years. He's the founder of Sports Philanthropy Network. Kids, stay in school, get good grades. School is important. Even if you'd rather play sports, grades matter.
And school is important, right? There's no question about that, and we're not debating that issue. I think one of the things that we, as you bring that up, is how do we make school more relevant and more engaging for the kids? Because part of the reason that I didn't like it, and many kids don't like it, is frankly the teaching style is boring. It's not engaging. It's like somebody opening up a textbook and reading it to you. That doesn't really attract you in. And so having programs like Read2Play where you make that connection and teach it in a way that relatable for kids.
Well, you would have been a perfect student for our program, Roy. Something that as a teacher, I have always had a very exciting lively, engaging classroom. And that draws the kids in. And when the kids know that you care and they know that you love them and you want them to do their very best, they rise up to the occasion. Something that I wanted to touch on really quickly is that we look to make lasting change through results and outcome. It's not a one and done. And if we do our job right, then they don't need me anymore. I've done my job. I've taught them how to be lifelong learners. I've inspired them to do their best every time. And that's really the foundation of Read2Play, is that we want kids to go from externally motivated to internally motivated.
So, Cindy, I think that's the goal of every teacher everywhere, right? Like, we are trying to educate whole and complete people to become responsible adults in a world who will eat them alive. And we're watching, like I love TikTok videos, right? And I watch all these teacher talks.
Yes.
And the teachers are exhausted. They are struggling between their schedules, their obligations, what's being pushed down on them from the administration, what's being pushed to them from the children, what's being pushed at them from the parents, and all of the other drama they have in their own personal lives because, believe it or not, they are people outside of the classroom and they wear normal clothes.
Yes.
And they have other problems, right? So the Read2Play program, what I love about it is you're not competing with the teachers. You're coming alongside them. You're like taking their hand and saying, you know what, we can help you. We have a program that'll take a little burden off of you and give you some of the support. Because what I see in education is we're not teaching blanket education anymore, Cindy. We're teaching, you have 28 kids. They're at 14 different levels. You need 14 different approaches to reach them where they're at, keeping in mind their learning style. Make sure that your lessons plan state exactly how you're going to do that. So make sure every parent has the rubric so it doesn't come back, so they know exactly what they're being graded at. We're turning an 8-hour workday into literally a 15, 16, 17-hour workday. And there's only two people who really get hurt in that, really, really get hurt. It's the students and the teachers. I know we only have a few minutes left, Cindy, but how are you going to help the students and the teachers and the parents to bring complete whole goodness to education?
Yes, that's a great. You don't like the subject. You do not learn when you're bored or turned off by it. So that's what we do. We make everything fun and exciting, and the kids want to learn.
I love it. We're just about out of time. Before we close, I want to make sure people know how they can learn more about the Read2Play program, how they can support you financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you name it. How do they find you and how do they support you, Cindy?
Thank you. They can find us at withoutlimits.us. That is our nonprofit that we run Read2Play through. And you can contact me directly from that website. I would be happy to answer any questions, hop on a Zoom meeting with anyone who is interested. We're looking to build our team right now, and we're so thankful, Kayla, for you and Roy. And we feel like our team is so much stronger with you, and we're really looking forward to this season. So please, anybody interested, reach out, and we'd love to bring you into our community.
Folks, my name is Kayla Bradham, here with Roy Kessel and Cindy Coleman, Sports Philanthropy Network, and Read2Play, locking arms together to create hope and possibility through sports. Roy, take us out.
Well, thank you to everybody that joined us today. I'm glad you had an opportunity to learn more about Read2Play, Cindy. Great job explaining the program, and your energy transmits right through every form of media that we're going to use to capture this. We really appreciate you taking the time to join Kayla and I. Thank you so much.
It's my honor, true privilege, and pleasure to be here. Thank you.
This is Roy Kessel signing off from Radio Row at Super Bowl 56 with Kayla Bradham, Cindy Coleman. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Please remember,